June 8, 1982. 50 feet above the Falklands, an Argentine Skyhawk races toward the battlefield. One bomb detonates, and the landing craft erupts in flames.
A tiny war in the South Atlantic produced one of the most unbelievable aerial battles in modern history.
Imagine flying just 50 feet above the ground, knowing enemy guns are waiting for you.
3 pilots went down that day, but one man refused to give up, even when everything was against him. With barely 500 pounds of fuel left, he made a decision that could have cost him his life.
This isn't just the story of a dogfight. It's the incredible story of the last Skyhawk to make it home.
June 8, 1982. 50 feet above the Falklands, an Argentine Skyhawk races toward the battlefield.
His mission is simple. Strike British forces at Bluff Cove, then get out alive.
4 Skyhawks race together, flying so low that British radar struggles to see them.
Then they clear the ridge, and British guns suddenly open fire. Sánchez pulls hard left, trying to escape the storm of gunfire. He jinks left and right, so low that British soldiers throw themselves into the dirt.
Sánchez fires his cannons, trying to suppress the British guns.
Sánchez checks his controls. Somehow, the Skyhawk is still flying.
But the guns fall silent as the 4 Skyhawks burst out toward the sea. Sánchez checks the controls. Somehow, the damaged aircraft is still flying.
Then he looks ahead. His 3 friends are already pulling away.
He pushes the throttle forward and races to catch them.
Ahead, the wrecks of Sir Galahad and Sir Tristram are already burning.
Then Bolzan's voice comes over the radio.
Landing craft, dead ahead.
A small British landing craft carries valuable men and equipment.
Sánchez arms his bombs and prepares for the final attack. Bolzan attacks first, his cannons hammering the landing craft. Bolzan attacks first, his cannons hammering the landing craft. He releases his bombs, but only one falls. Then Araras dives in behind him. This time, everything works.
One bomb detonates, and the landing craft erupts in flames.
But high above them, 2 British Sea Harriers are watching. Morgan looks down and spots 3 Skyhawks racing across the water. He rolls over and dives. His wingman follows. The Argentine pilots have no idea the Harriers are behind them.
Morgan selects an AIM-9L Sidewinder and locks onto a Skyhawk.
Sánchez sees the missile launch and screams a warning. Morgan presses the launch button. The Sidewinder races toward the Argentine Skyhawk. But the missile is already closing on Vasquez's aircraft.
The missile strikes, and Vasquez's Skyhawk breaks apart.
The missile finds the Skyhawk's hot engine and locks on.
He turns toward Morgan and finally gets a clear shot.
He pulls the trigger. Nothing. His cannon has failed.
Sánchez cannot fire, so he urgently warns Araras about the Harrier behind him.
Araras brakes hard, trying to shake the British fighter.
Morgan fires a second Sidewinder at the fleeing Skyhawk.
Araras turns away, but the missile stays locked.
The missile hits behind the cockpit, tearing the Skyhawk apart. Then a parachute appears. Araras has managed to eject. Morgan sees the parachute and knows the pilot has escaped the crash.
But Bolzan is still running, racing towards safety. Morgan has used both missiles. Now he closes in behind Bolzan.
Just before he fires, the Harrier's targeting display suddenly dies.
Morgan fires the Harrier's cannons, sending a stream of rounds toward the Skyhawk.
Morgan runs out of ammunition. His wingman Smith now moves in for the kill. Smith takes over the chase and keeps the Skyhawk in sight. Bolzan escapes toward the land, but a second Harrier is already closing in. Smith takes over the chase and keeps the Skyhawk in sight.
Bolzan is racing southwest across the island.
His only hope is to reach the coast and escape.
He settles into position behind the fleeing aircraft.
The missile is ready.
Smith waits for the right moment.
Then he fires. Bolzan sees the danger and throws his Skyhawk into a hard turn. But the missile follows him. The Sidewinder slams into the Skyhawk. The aircraft begins falling toward the island. There is no parachute.
His aircraft is damaged, and his fuel is running dangerously low.
Then Sánchez checks his fuel. There is barely enough left to stay airborne. And below him, there is nothing but open ocean. Then he sees a storm covering the coast.
It may be the only place the Harriers cannot follow.
Sánchez flies directly into the rain. He can barely see anything ahead. At barely 50 feet, one mistake could be fatal.
Above the storm, Morgan searches for the missing Skyhawk.
But the Harrier's radar struggles to detect such a low aircraft.
All he sees is interference.
Sánchez has vanished into the weather.
With fuel running low, the British pilots finally turn for home. Minutes later, Sánchez emerges from the storm. But escaping the Harriers has created another problem. He has only about 500 pounds of fuel left.
Sánchez climbs higher to save what little fuel remains.
But Argentina is still far away.
He has one final option.
He calls for an aerial tanker. Condor 1, this is Mazo 3. Low on fuel, request vectors. For several moments, there is nothing.
Then, far ahead, something appears.
A KC-130 Hercules is coming.
But the tanker is flying far below him.
The tanker crew decides to climb. Slowly, the refueling basket comes into position. Sánchez carefully moves closer.
Then, finally, the probe connects.
But something is wrong. The fuel gauge still hasn't moved.
Hidden History USA. History, mystery, war, world events, investigation, documentary storytelling, where history reveals its greatest secrets.
The tanker crew sees the truth. The Skyhawk is leaking fuel.